Welcome to a year's worth of tomatoes in Nebraska, the great state of Nebraska, 2021. February 16th, homemade greenhouse, helped with the frame from the local school, built with some the materials here and there. March 8th, we start the plants, get the seeds in January and February from Florida. On the sides, polycarbonate sheeting, the different pots from people from church. Of course, the pallets or the tables or the benches. March 20th, a couple weeks later or so, things start coming up. Give them about 12 days, 14 days. Here's a greenhouse inside a greenhouse to help it even warmer. The wood burning stove helps a lot, but we don't heat it a lot just to make sure it doesn't freeze. A few things are coming up. We raised some flowers also, nasturtium and marigolds. Our garden's 40 feet by 70 feet. Worked with it for several years. We've been doing this since 1990. Rototill it in. Got a good rototiller. Put some compost from a local dairy. Haul hot with a trailer. Throw it in. Mix it in. Aronia berries in the far left. The smaller ones. The bigger ones are the blackberries. Thornless blackberries, of course. Come back year after year. Got to keep the rabbits out though. April 2nd, most everything's starting to come up. About 10, 15 different kinds of tomatoes, some peppers. The peppers take more heat to come up, so we're going to work on that because the tomatoes come up pretty easily. Some of the flowers come up pretty easily. But things are growing. Even some alyssum and maybe even some looks like watermelon, muskmelon, marigolds, and nasturtium. Like I said before, the peppers take some heat. We got some lights that we can put on top of them. Get some more light during the night. We raise money for the ministry at church, so this is not for profit. This is just kind of a thing that's grown over the years. My wife and I enjoy doing this. I come from a nursery background from Norfolk. Then, May 7th, this is probably the day before we take them to church. People donate money. Looks like the tomatoes need to get out of there. They're certainly tall enough. Squashed. We got to replant some of them. Out in the garden, we have these things called greenhouse buckets. You can buy 3 of them online, and they give us about 2 weeks extra head start. We got ventilation on the top and some hooks, some nails to keep them down on the ground. We also have some raised beds. Planted a few tomatoes. I believe these are San Marzano. There's going to be some peppers there. Here's grape and then sun gold, the golden cherry tomatoes. Out in the field, here's going to be our main tomatoes right here. I think these are mainly Big Boy, Better Boy. Things like Roma, La Roma, Celebrity. Here's some onions. The onions, of course, come out pretty quick. Can grow them pretty easily. Grass clippings for mulch. Put down RAINBIRD water system. Individual hoses to each one. Black plastic underneath. Try to prevent the weeds. Never-ending weeds. But the buckets are half of 5-gallon buckets. Get them from a local school. Cut them in half. The school gets them for pickles or some other things. Rebar from the local hardware store. Cut in pieces. Put down. Lasts for years. Got to stake them cages up. Concrete people know the wire mesh used for reinforcing for concrete. Makes good cages. Also paint them. And try to keep them painted to keep the rust off of them. Of course, we grow all kinds of other things. Squash, okra, tomatoes, peppers, corn, etc. Here's some kale, zucchini. Things are going quite nice. By the end of June, things are heating up. Plants are growing like crazy. They're like weeds. But one thing you got to do is to keep pulling them back. They keep growing so much like a weed. You got to make sure they stay in the cages. Just gently. Be careful with the grape tomatoes. They break off pretty easily. But most of them, you can just Not every day, every few days, just kind of go with the new growth and keep them constantly inside the cages. Otherwise they get pretty wild. You know how big they can get. Grape tomatoes looking good. One plant can produce quite a bit. Again, just gently tuck them in there. Keep them out of the way. You want to water them at the bottom so that they don't get the rust and the things with the wilt. This year was pretty good for us. We didn't have that too bad. Here's the main garden again. Onions, big boy, growing like crazy. Probably about 3.5 feet in between, and rows set apart so they get air, so that they don't get the rust or the wilt. Of course, they probably still do, but if you have a good solution to that, let me know. There's a volunteer butternut squash that came up. You'll see that later. We're getting into tomato season, July 12th. It's hot. Quite a few days over 100, or at least 90s. But of course, the tomatoes love this. They love the heat. They love the sun. You got to have full sun. These here in the raised beds get a little bit of shade in the morning. Rotate the crops. Try to fertilize a little bit with some plant food, and pretty soon they're up above your head. Ooh, there's some nice grapes coming on there. I believe the next two are the sun gold. They're going to get over 7 feet tall by the end of the summer. And of course we do some peppers. We also have some sunflowers here in the corner. Later on you'll see I cut them down. They get to be about 10 feet tall. We go from bare ground to quite a set of greenery here. And of course they're setting on. If it gets too hot, if it gets over 100 too much, they don't set on. So you kind of want 90s. That's why you can grow quite a bit here in Nebraska. Wide variety. Heirlooms too sometimes. Celebrity, big boy, better boy, big beef. Canning tomatoes. You can see that they're starting to set on. Haven't turned yet, but they will. Cage them, stake them, pull them back. There's the squash again. July 26th, we should be picking some. Here's a shot of from the front, what I call the front of the garden. You can see the squash spreading out. The tomatoes are growing quite well. Zucchini. Here's one lone grape tomato that I put somewhere else. And of course my wife cans a lot. Tomato juice, salsa, sometimes tomato soup. Anything that you can do with tomatoes. Freeze them a little bit maybe. Give them away to people at church. If we grow too much, that's alright. People at church get a good selection from us if we have too much. Asparagus is on your right, by the way. Comes back year after year. These two are just taking off like crazy. Quite fun to go out in the morning and pick some, and they get tomatoes all the way up. You'll see some shots later on, just loaded. Who knows how many they can actually produce. Like I said, probably over 7 feet tall, maybe even 8. August is tomato month. You can see quite a few of them there. Plants look good. Cages are wide enough where you can reach in and get them. Might have to build some bigger ones because they start getting where you can't reach in and without having problems getting the tomatoes. The buckets tip over a little bit, but oh well, they're loaded. Sorry about the video there. School's about ready to start, August 30th. Well, it probably already has here in Nebraska. But we're still picking tomatoes, peppers. The banana peppers look real good at this time. Just look at how many tomatoes are on there. Handfuls. I like the grapes because they have a softer, a harder skin than just the cherry tomatoes. They last longer. The sun gold or sunburst, orange cherry tomatoes are probably our new favorite. They have a little sweeter taste. They also last long. You can see quite a few there. You can get your grandkids to go out, and in our case, our grandkids to go out and pick them. Little hands. Almost too dense to walk through, but I got enough room to be careful. Got to watch out for the watering system. We also raise jalapeno peppers, green peppers, red peppers. Favorite time of the year, August. Nice sandwich with a nice fresh tomato. Ooh, can't be beat. My wife's salsa. Oh, can't be beat. Onions, peppers, tomatoes mixed in. Of course, another favorite is okra. But a lot of people don't like okra, but that's because they don't fix it correctly. But there's lots of different ways to fix okra. Makes a wonderful, wonderful meal, part of a meal for veggies. Here we are, September 9th, after Labor Day. Guess what? Still going strong. Football started, volleyball started. Tomatoes are still producing. These are some decorative peppers. Look at the reds. The reds and oranges are so sweet. We can grow them. They last a little bit longer than the tomatoes because they're a little tougher. They like to heat also. No problem. There's the sunflowers. Not the huge head type ones, but just pretty ones. Here it is, September 9th. Still looking good. Still loaded. We try to get the most out of every single growing season. Winter's pretty tough because can't grow anything unless we can do year-round somehow. Another shot from the front. Tomatoes, or the onions, are all gone. There's a watermelon, some kale. The butternut squash has taken over huge area. There's some basil, bottom left. Here's the grape tomato all by itself. Ooh, look at that. A little bit later. Try to give you the same shots. Homemade, I'm not a professional, obviously, but same shots. Show you how you can go from dirt to fruit. Got rid of the sunflowers now. Most of these are 5 foot tall and dense. A little bit of the wilt going on. They get it from the soil, but I haven't figured out how to get rid of it totally. Never-ending battle, I guess. Still plenty of things to be harvested out of there. The blackberries usually harvest July for about 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Still going strong, October 11th. Can't even tell anything on the peppers. The cherry tomatoes, or the grape tomatoes, a little bit off, but the sun gold is still coming on strong. Backside of the garden again. You can see things are starting to fade, but that's okay. It's October. Keep the fence up year round. Keep the rabbits out, especially during the winter, because the rabbits will get in and eat the blackberries, and then they'll kill the shoots, and you got to start all over. Don't worry, they keep coming back. The blackberries, well, the rabbits keep coming back too, but still plenty of fruit. There's a line of okra in there, but they don't produce much in October, but they're great for frying up and keeping the seeds over from year to year. We've known some people who get rid of the garden right after Labor Day, but like I said, we keep going, try to get all that we can. If I could figure out some way to enclose these, like the sun gold, with some plastic, put a quick frame out of PVC pipe or something, could probably get another week or two out of them, maybe even a week or two earlier in the spring. They just get to be big plants. You can see all the fruit. Hasn't frosted yet, although there have been times we've had a frost in September. This year was pretty late. You'll see that here in a moment. Even November 1st. Probably the corn and the soybeans are already out of the field, but we're still dealing with garden fruit. Try to grow something in every square inch. And a frost kills the plants, and we're done.